Welcome back, guys, for our new topic for today, solving quadratic equation. So for today, I'm gonna show you the following ways on solving quadratic equation. So we have here four. Number one, the square root property, the factoring, the completing the square, and the quadratic formula. First, square root property. So in this method, is generally used in equation that have form of ax squared is equal to c, or the group of ax plus b squared is equal to c. For example, so take a look at this example. So we have ax squared and 9. So based on the square root property, it should be ax squared is equal to our constant. So look at our first term, which is x squared. So already in ax squared form. Then in right side is our constant, which is the 9. So there's nothing to change in this equation. It is already the form of ax squared is equal to c. So let's proceed. Take the square root of both sides. So square root of x squared and square root of 9. Then we got the x is equal to positive negative 3. So take note, guys, we should always put the positive and negative symbol in getting the square root of the answer or our constant. Okay, next we have 10x squared plus 5 is equal to 85. So in this example, our equation is not ax squared is equal to c form, right? Because we have constant 5. So before we proceed in our solving or the square root property, we should transpose the 5 to get the ax squared. In short, in our left side, we only have our 10x squared. So in order to do that, we need to transpose the 5 in the right side. Okay, so 10x squared is equal to 85 minus 5. So we can get 10x squared is equal to 80. Then finding the value of x, so divide both sides by 10. So we can get the x squared is equal to 8. Then back to the basic square both sides. Then x squared is equal to square root of 8. Then we can get the answer of positive and negative 2 square root of 2. Okay, next example, we have x minus 2, square of x minus 2 minus 50 is equal to 0. So again, let's make our equation ax squared is equal to c, or ax plus b squared is equal to c. So we need to transpose our negative 50 on the right side. Okay, transpose the 50. So we can get the x minus 2 squared is equal to 50. So now our equation is ax squared is equal to c form. So we can directly square both sides. Okay, the purpose of to square the both sides is to eliminate the square. So in order we can get the x minus 2. Then the answer is x minus 2 is equal to positive negative 5 square root of 2. Then transpose the negative 2. So we can get the x. So 2 plus minus 5 square root of 2. So we have two answers here, the positive and negative. We have first the x sub 1, which is 2 plus 5 square root of 2, and the other side x sub 2 is equal to 2 minus 5 square root of 2. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, another method, the factoring. It is the process of finding the factors of our equation. So for example, x squared plus 3x minus 4, get the factors of that. We can get x plus 4 multiplied to x minus 1. So this is our factors. Okay, the first method under the factoring is finding its greatest common factor. So we have example 2x squared minus 4x equal to 0. So these are the steps. Number 1, find the GCF. Step 2, divide each term. So let's take the common factor of 2x squared and minus 4. So the common factor is 2x. So if you're already advanced enough, so you already know what is the greatest common factor of this equation. But if you do not know how to find the greatest common factor, I have here the example on how to find its greatest common factor or greatest common monomial factor. Okay, step 1. You should be familiar in our prime factorization, because prime factorization can be used in any type of equation, maybe in easy equation or complicated equation. So we have 2x squared. So take note, prime factorization of numeral is 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. So take note of that. So let's start with our numeral, the prime of our numeral. We can get the 2 because 2 is already a prime. Then we have 2x because x to the power of 2. So in short, we have 2x. Then next, the 4. So what is the prime factor of 4? We have 2 and 2. Then we have 1x. Then after that, let's take the common numeral and variable in each term. So in 2 and 4, we have 2. So let's bring down that 2. Then in variable, we have x. So bring down that x. So our GCF is 2x. Then step 2, divide each term by our greatest common factor. So the first term is 2x squared. Let's divide it by 2x. So the answer is x. Next is negative 4x divided by our common factor 2x. You can get the answer of negative 2. Then in this equation, we will put our answer in the box. Okay, here is our GCF, the 2x, and the quotient of our term divided by our greatest common factor we'll put here. We have x and negative 2. Okay, in factored form, we have 2x times x minus 2 is equal to 0. So finding the roots. So here we have the value of x. So we can get the value of that, which is 0, already 0. So in short, if we have a variable here, so 0 is already a root of our equation. So 2x is equal to 0, so it means x is equal to 0. Then the next one is x minus 2 is equal to 0. Then transpose the negative 2, so we can get the positive 2. So our answer is 0 and 2. Next example, 6x minus 48 is equal to 0. So again, find the GCF and divide each term. So the GCF of numeral 6 is 2 and 3. And we only have 1x, so we will put 1x. Then the prime factor of 48, we have 2, 2, 2, 2, and 3, and we don't have any variable. Then after that, cross out the common factor. So we have 2, so bring down the 2, and 3, bring down the 3. So our GCF is 6. So we will put our GCF in 6. Next, divide each term. So 6x divide 6, so we can get the x. So negative 48 divide 6, so we get the negative 8. And then let's put in our boxes, x and negative 8. So the factored form is x, 6 rather, sorry, then multiplied by x minus 8 is equal to 0. So here we don't have a x value variable, so we can't use the 0 as our root because we don't have a variable of 6. So let's proceed. X minus 8 is equal to 0, so transpose, so we can get the 8. So the answer only is 8. So next, 21x minus 63x squared is equal to 0. So we need to rearrange our equation because our highest degree is in the last term. So we should make it, the first term should be the highest degree. So let's rearrange the equation. So negative 63x squared plus 21 is equal to 0. So take note, guys, if our highest degree is, if the numeral of our highest degree is negative, so our final GCF is always negative. So let's find the GCF. So 63, the prime of 63 is 337. The prime of 60 is 337, and we have 2x, x, x. Then 21, the prime of 21 is 3 and 7. Then we have 1x. So let's take the common. We have 3, we have 7, and we have x. So the GCF of 63x squared and 21x is 3 times 7 times x. We have 21x. So take note, our highest degree is negative. The numeral of our highest degree is 63, right? Negative. So our GCF should be negative. I'm gonna clear these drawings. Then, okay, since the highest degree is negative, the GCF should be negative 21x. So we will put our GCF here in the first box, negative 21, then divide each term by our GCF. So negative 63x squared divide negative 21x, we have 3x. We will put 3x, then 21x divided by negative 21x is negative 1. So we will put the negative 1. So the factored form is negative 21x times 3x minus 1 is equal to 0. So we will get the roots. Negative 21x is equal to 0, so already 0. 3x minus 1 is equal to 0. Then transpose, you can get 3x is equal to 1. And then x is equal to 1/3. The answer is 0 and 1/3. Okay, next factoring technique are special cases, difference of two squares, perfect square trinomial, and the grouping side. We call it special cases because we only need to check the equation if it is perfect square. So if after checking, then if it is correct according to our equation or cases, so we can consider it in our special cases like difference of two squares and perfect square trinomial. So first, difference of two squares, ax squared. So we call it difference of two squares because difference from the word itself means negative sign, difference minus, and two squares. The two squares, a squared and b squared, then difference of two square. That's why we call it difference of two squares. So for example here, 9x squared minus 16 is equal to 0. So how do we know that this equation is difference, special case under the difference of two squares? So let's check the first term, 9x squared. If it is perfect square, yes, perfect square. So how do we know if it is a perfect square? If we take the square of our term, we can get a perfect square. The same answer multiplied by itself. For example, square root of 9x squared. So what is the square root of 9, which is 3? What is the square root of x squared, which is x? So it is perfect square. Next, let's check the 16 if it is perfect square. So the square root of 16, okay, 4, so it is perfect square. Then we have a difference, or the negative symbol that tells that this is a difference of two square. Okay, let's check. So after checking the equation, if it is perfect square, then difference of two perfect square, then we can directly factor it in the form of this a plus b. So we can directly copy. So we will put a 2 parenthesis. We will just copy the a, the positive and negative, always positive and negative. We don't need to think any number in factoring of this kind of cases, because we need to check the first term and the second term if it is perfect square, and check the sign if it is difference or negative sign. Okay, after checking, let's take the square. So the square root of 9x squared, which is 3x, then we will put in our box 3x and 3x. Then b, square root of 16 is 4. Let's put in the circles 4 and 4. So too easy, guys, too easy. Then get the roots, equate into 0, so we can get the negative 4/3. Other side negative, so we can get the positive 4/3. Next, under the factoring method is the perfect square trinomial. So in this case, we need to check the three terms in our equation. The first term should be the square of our first term should be the perfect square. Then that third or the last term should be perfect square. Okay, let's check. The first term should be perfect square, the last term should be perfect square, and the second term should be the product of its square root of our first and second. So square root of first, square root of last, multiply, then twice multiply it by 2. The answer of our a and b squared. So let's proceed to so that I can explain it further. So in rewriting this, we only need to check the sign of our equation. If it is positive, then our equation here should be positive. If our equation here is negative, then our factored equation is also negative. No need to worry, guys, because perfect square trinomial is very easy because you only need to check the equation. Okay, let's proceed. We have 4x squared, 8x, 4. So first, let's check the first term. Next, the last term. Next, get the square root of first and last, then multiply by 2. Okay, let's check. First term, 4x squared is perfect square. Okay, yes. And then the square of 4x squared is 2x. Next, third term, which is our 4, is a perfect square. Yes, so the square root of 4 is 2. Next, second term, which is our 8x, is twice the product of first and third. Yes. Okay, let's take the product of first and third. So 2x times 2. We can get the 4x, then multiply it by 2. So we can get the 8x. So yes, it's a yes. So 8x. So therefore, we can conclude that this equation is a perfect square trinomial. So all we need is to copy the square of our first and second. So 4x squared plus 8x plus 4 is equal to 0. So it is positive, so we can use the positive factor. Okay. So the square root of 4x squared is 2x. Then the square root of 4, which is 2. Then the sign in the second term is positive, so this will be positive. So easy to identify it is perfect square trinomial. You only need to check the first and last, then multiply it by 2, and then the product of first and the last term. Okay, we get 2x plus 2 squared. So use the square root property in our previous type of method. So square both sides. So we can get the square root of 0 is also 0. So 2x minus 2, 2x plus 2 is equal to 0. Then transpose the 2 in the other side. So we can get a negative 2. Then divide both sides by 2. We can get the negative 1. Or expand the equation by rewriting is by 2. The same 2x plus 2 times 2x plus 2. But we only need to pick one because it is the same. And the same answer, x is equal to negative 1. Next, factoring by grouping. So we have 4 steps here. First, we divide the polynomial into 2, factor the GCF, get the common or trinomial factor, then factor out the common binomial or trinomial factor. Okay, we have here the example of x squared plus 7x. So in this case, we need to change the 7x because polynomials with 4 or more terms. So we need to expand this equation into 4 terms. So we can expand that by expanding the second term, which is the 7x. Okay. So by expanding that, we can get the 4x and 3x. So our new equation is x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 12 is equal to 0. Then divide the polynomial into 2 groups. Okay, we have 2 groups. We have x squared plus 4x, and the other side is, in the other half is 3x plus 12 is equal to 0. Then using the greatest common factor, factor the first half and second half. So the factor of x squared plus 4x, the factor of that is this. Then the factor of 3x plus 12 is this. And then make sure that we can get the same common binomial or trinomial. in this case, we have our common, which is x plus 4. Okay, we have our common x plus 4 and x plus 4. So then after that, we can copy directly. This common is count as 1, already count as 1. Here, the x plus 4. So we only need to take our x plus 3. Right here, the x plus 3 and then the x plus 4. That's right. So another example. So our factor of x squared plus 7x plus 12 is equal to 0 is x plus 3 and x plus 4. Then after that, let's get the roots. Okay, we have negative 3 and the other side we have the negative 4. Okay, next, additional way of factoring is the hashtag method. So we call it hashtag because literally we use the hashtag symbol. So we have here the x squared plus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. So let's make a hashtag first. Then in the upper part, let's put our equation, the x squared, the 3x, and the positive 2. In this part, we will put our factors of our x squared, and this part we will put our factors of our constant. So what are the factors of x squared? What are the factors of this? So we only have x times x, right? And the 2 is 2 times 1, right? Okay, let's put in our hashtag. Okay, x, as I've said, the factor of x squared is x in x. In the other side, we have the factor of 2 and 1. So after that, we will multiply it crossly to our first term. We will imaginally multiply it by cross, so we can get the second term. So 1 times x, we can get the x. Then 2 times x, we can get the 2x. Then after that, what should be the symbol of our middle part? What should be the symbol here? What should be the operation here? So we can get the 3x. So if I will put negative here and negative here, what is the answer? We can get the negative 3x. So it is not according to our second term. So we should put a positive sign here, so it will agree in our second term. So x plus 2x, we can have 3x, right? So if we put positive here, we will also put positive here because we multiply it cross in 1 and x. So if we put positive here, we will put also positive here because we multiply the 2 and x. So we put positive and positive. So if we put positive here, we will put also positive here. Then after that, check the table if it is agree with our equation. First, multiply x times x, we got the x squared. So it agrees. So okay, check. Then the next one is multiplication in our constant. 2 times 1, we can get the 2. So check. 1 times 2, we got positive 2. Check. Then the next one is follow the sign. So we have positive x plus 2x. So we can get the 3x. So it is according to our table. So it agrees. So x plus 2x, we get the 3x. See, another example, let's try another example. Then after that, if our data agrees in our table, then we should directly copy the answer, the x plus 2 and the x plus 1. So the factored form is x plus 2 and x plus 1. Okay, let's try another one. Before that, we need to take the roots of our previous equation. The x plus 2, we can get the x minus 2, and the other side is negative 1. Okay, next, the 2x squared plus 7x plus is equal to 0. So make our hashtag, put our equation, then put the factors that agrees. So we have 2x squared here. So the factors of 2x squared is already 2x or x. It doesn't matter if in what place you put the 2x and x, it's just the same. Okay, we have 2x and x. Next, what are the factors of 3? So we have 3 and 1. Okay, in what place should we put the 3 and 1? So if I will put 3 here, then I will put 1 here. So let's imaginary multiply here the 1. So we can get the 2x, right? So if I multiply 3 here in the bottom, imagine to multiply the x and 3. So we can get the 3x. So the possible answer of that will be 5x or x, right? For example, I will put negative here, I will put positive here. So we can get the positive x. So if I will put positive here, we can get the 5x. So no chance, we don't have any chance to get the answer of 7x here. Okay, let's try to rearrange. What if I will put the 1 here and I will put the 3 here? So let's try to multiply it here. So 3 times 2, we can get the 6x. Then multiply it here. So 1 times x, we can get x. So in this case, we have the possibility of having the 6. So what if I put positive here and positive here? We can get the 7x. So that's the tip on how to properly put the factors of our last term. So this is the one. In this part we will put our 1, and this part we will put our 3. Then multiply cross by cross. Then we get the 6x. Multiply the 1 and x, we can get the x. Then we will put positive, the second term should be positive 7x. So we will put a symbol that will agree in our second term. So in order to get that, we should make our 6x positive. So our 3 is positive. If we will take our x as positive, then our 1 should be positive. Then after that, if all data agrees in our equation, we can directly copy our answer, which is the 2x plus 1 and the x plus 3. Then the factor form is 2x plus 1 and x plus 3. Okay, take the roots. So 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. We can get the negative 1/2. Then the other side, we can get the negative 3. Next, guys, is the completing the square. It is a method used to solve a quadratic equation by changing the form of the equation so that the left side is a perfect square trinomial. This method is more complicated compared to the other method that we discussed earlier. So we need to make the left side equation to be a perfect square trinomial. So these are the steps. First, divide the quadratic by a. So in this case, our example, we don't have a coefficient here. So we don't need to divide the equation by the first or the leading coefficient, the numeral, the leading coefficient of our highest degree. Okay, write the equation in x squared plus bx equal to c. Okay, so let's transpose our constant, because we only need the quadratic form of x squared and bx, which is x squared and the bx, and then this is our c. Next, divide both sides by b half squared. Add the both sides by b half squared. Okay, how to get the b half squared, or the third term to make it a perfect square trinomial here? So we need to divide b half square. So this is our a, this is our b, and this is our c. So when we say b half square, so our b, this is our b, which is 12. So we will put 12, then our 2, then square. Then 12 divide 2, which is 6, then square, then we can get the 36. So 36, and the other side plus 36. Then after that, you should remember your answer in our b half. So the answer last time, 12 over 2, which is our b half. This is our b half. So the answer of our b half is 6, right? Should we remember that 6, because we can use it in our factor perfect square trinomial. So the answer is 6. So we will put the 6 squared is equal to 4. This square of 6, the b half, and 32, negative 32 plus 36, we can get the positive 4. This 6 came from our b half. Again, I will repeat, this 6 came in our b half, b over 2, our b half, which is 6. And then after that, use the square root property to solve. Square both sides, so we can get the square of x plus 6 squared. We can get the x plus 6. Then the other side, square root of 4 is positive and negative 2. Then let's take the roots. The first one is the positive 2. We can get the negative 4. Then the other root, the negative 2. Here, the negative 2. So we can get negative 8. Okay, another one is completing the square. So this, for example, example number 2, we have 5x squared minus 50x plus 795 is equal to 0. So in this example, our leading coefficient has a numeral of 5. So take note, we have a numeral of 5. So before that, we need to divide the equation by 5. So we divide it by 5, divide by 5, divide by 5. So we can get the equation of x squared minus 10x plus 159. Then after that, go back to the first step. Change the quadratic into ax squared plus bx is equal to c form. So this is our ax squared, this is our bx, and this is our c. Then after that, take the b half or add the b half squared to both sides, which is the b half. So our b is negative 10 2 squared. So negative 2 divide 5, negative 10 divide 2, can get the negative 5 squared. So we can get the positive 25. So 25 should be added on both sides. Okay, as you can see in this equation, we added 25, we added 25. And then by factoring that, we should remember our b half answer because we can use it our factored form, which is this. Our answer, the x minus 5, then square, then 159 plus 25 is 134. Okay, I repeat, negative 159 plus 25 is negative 134. Okay, let's proceed to get the roots. So use the square root property, square both sides. We can get x minus 5 is equal to positive and negative square root of 134. So negative 134 is not a perfect square, so we don't need to simplify the negative 134. Okay, transpose the negative 5, so we can get the positive 5 plus square root of negative 134. And the other side, let's take the negative, x minus 5, the negative, and this is the positive. Okay, so x is equal to 5 minus square root of 134. Okay, the last one, guys, last method is the quadratic formula. This is the formula that provides solution to a quadratic equation. This is the most accurate way on finding the value of our solving quadratic equation. We only need to know our general equation, which is the ax squared plus 5x plus c is equal to 0, and our formula, which is negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay. Our first example is 3x squared plus 7x is equal to 6. So we need to change that or transform our first example into our general equation. Okay, we need to transpose the 6. Okay, so the positive 6, after transposing, we will get the negative 6. Then after that, we will take the coefficient in our equation. So in our A, in our B, in our C. So the value of our A is positive 3, the value of our B is positive 7, and the value of our C is negative 6. After that, the coefficient in our equation will be substituted in our formula, the quadratic formula. Okay. After substituting, this is the image or the equation. So substitute the value of our B then our A and our C, then this is our A. Then after substituting, follow the operation. After simplifying the equation, we can get the negative 7, positive negative square root of 121. So we can simplify this because 121 is a perfect square. So let's take the roots of this equation. We can get negative 7. First one is the positive. So the answer is positive 2/3. The other one is the negative. So we can get the answer of negative 3. Okay, let's practice. For x squared minus 22x is equal to x squared. You can pause this video if you want to try to practice this equation, and then resume this video if you want to check your answer. Okay, let's proceed. Let's change the equation to general form. So transpose all sides into our positive highest degree. So as you can see, our highest degree with leading coefficient of positive is in left side. So all terms should be transposed in the left side. So take note, we need to change the equation into general form and then substitute in our quadratic formula. Okay, transpose all term in the left side, then combining like terms. For x squared minus x, we can get the 3x, then 4x, then negative 22 plus 29, we can get the positive 7. Then after that, let's take the coefficient, which is 3, negative 4, and 7. Then substitute in our equation. Okay, we have negative 4. Then simplify the equation. Follow the operation. So we can get the 4 positive negative square root of 68 over 6. So again, we can simplify the negative 68. So we only need to get the roots, the positive and negative. So the first one is the positive. We have 4 plus square root of 68 over 6. And the other one is the 4 negative square root of negative 68 over 6. Okay guys, based from an article, these are the following ways on how to solve the quadratic equation. Completing the square is the most complicated, factoring is the most popular, and quadratic is the most straightforward because any equation can be solved in quadratic formula. We only need to memorize the general formula, which is the ax squared, the bx plus c is equal to 0, and the general formula, and then substitute. But it takes a lot of steps on how to solve. In short, it is more numbers involved because we have a long solution. Then if you master the factoring, then it is quite easier and more convenient in solving. Then in completing the square, it is most complicated because we need to make the equation into perfect square trinomial and then use the other method like square root property. So based on my observation, for me is the best way to solve the quadratic equation is the factoring. If you master all types of factoring, you can easily solve the equation by the method of factoring. But if you want to most reliable answer and the most straightforward, use the quadratic formula. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you learned something in our video or in our tutorial. So don't forget these 3 ways to help you to be better in math subject: determination, practice, and patience. Don't lose hope, and one day you can get what you want in line in the subject of mathematics. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I highly appreciate it if you want to comment down below on what topics you want to be featured in our next video. Thank you guys, and God bless you always.